NRATV with Bill Whittle.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Hot Mike Show. I'm Bill Whittle, and we're talking about conservatives, the values that Hollywood used to have when it was a lot more conservative, the values it picked up as progressives, and trying to change it back a little bit. We've been talking to two filmmakers who are trying to get the Black Tide Rising series of books by John Ringo made, Mike Lermon and Richard Rosenthal. And needless to say, they're two outsiders. They're down in Atlanta, Georgia, and they're going to be working out of Atlanta. And if I had this conversation with you guys 20 years ago, I would have said, wow, that's a pretty big disadvantage. But now, I have a strange coincidence talking to a friend of mine yesterday. More Hollywood films are made in Atlanta than are made in Hollywood. You would think that the last industry that the idiots in Sacramento would chase out of California is the movie industry. If anything is associated with California, it's showbiz. But because the taxes are so high here, and because the regulations, and because the fees, and because of the unions, and all of this other stuff, you can triple your money, quadruple it by shooting someplace else, like in Georgia. And in many cases, Georgia and I think New Mexico, other states, are offering pretty amazing tax incentives. So basically, you get half of your money back, or that's not that much. 20%, 30% of your budget comes back just because you're shooting in Georgia. So guys, you seem to be in the right place at the right time. Do you find there's enough of a talent pool in Atlanta for you to be able to do this kind of work the way you want to get it done?
You know, at the level that we operate at, from a crew point of view, I would say the answer to that is yes. From the on-screen talent point of view, we certainly have a lot of actors that you've become accustomed to seeing in B-rolls, as they call them, on TV and in film. We would still need to have some of the folks imported, if you will, in from either Los Angeles and New York to help out. The industry here in Georgia has been growing by leaps and bounds over the last 15 years. You know, it was just announced a few days ago that we are probably now the fourth largest industry by revenue generated for the state of Georgia. And as you pointed out, every time you see that peach at the end of a film or at the end of a TV show, that does represent a tax incentive for those people to have done their project, or as much of it as they could, in the state of Georgia. So we certainly have the resources here to do that. The other thing that we find that's interesting that we see people talking about is, as you said, the folks in Los Angeles and New York, they really do like coming here. It's not about just the money. We have the locations they can shoot on from the north end of the state all the way down to the south end of the state where we have the ocean. They also like being here because places like Atlanta have grown up, and it's not like it was, let's say, 20 or 30 years ago, in the sense that it's a more of a cosmopolitan city. So they are able to continue their lives as they are used to when they're here. They also seem to like the people when they're here, because we are basically friendly folk, and we enjoy having them here and working with them, and they seem to enjoy working with us.
Okay, almost out of time. Mike, a quick question for you just to close here. You guys are doing things in a very interesting way, a very, very smart way. You've started a crowdsourcing campaign in order to raise enough money to show a proof of concept film, and then you would use that to go get the additional funding for the feature film. Just real quickly, Mike, we're almost out of time. Can you tell people how they can find that crowdsourcing link for you guys and how they can help if they're interested?
Sure. Go to blacktiderising.com. Find all the information there. That'll redirect you right over to Indiegogo, where we're running the campaign. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook is at Black Tide Rising, and Twitter is at BT Rising TV. And if you can contribute, that's great. If you can't, then if you can share and just get the word out, we appreciate all of it.
BlackTideRising.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can give these guys a hand, certainly worth it. It's always good to see veterans and people who've served their country trying to get into show business, where I think the new culture war is actually more dangerous to our society than perhaps any war we've ever fought. Thank you both for being on the show. Thanks both of you for your service as veterans. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I hope to see you again real soon.
Thank you, Bill. We appreciate you.
Folks, just in closing, here's a very quick thumbnail of how Hollywood works. An inexpensive movie in Los Angeles, a cheap movie, is $50, $60, $70 million. And the reason for that is everybody has to get paid up front. Tom Cruise or somebody comes on a movie, there's $15, $20 million instantly, plus a part of the back end. But everybody gets paid up front. And the reason people get paid up front is because the system out here is so morally corrupt. If Hollywood accounting techniques were used anywhere else, and I mean any other industry in this country, they'd all be in jail, every single one of them. So since everybody has to get paid up front, and since movies don't come all that often, most people have to make an entire year's worth of salary, and they have to get the movie up front. So these things end up costing $40, $50, $60 million. If you find people like Mike and Richard who are ready to put a lot of sweat equity and time into this, you can get those same effects, those same results for a tenth of the cost, a 20th of the cost. And it can be done. It just can't be done here. We're in an age now where big movie stars like Tom Cruise don't have the power that they used to. The Mummy just opened, was really pretty poor performance for a Tom Cruise movie. So I think these guys are in the right place at the right time. That'll do it for our Hot Mike show today. We hope to have Hot Mike back tomorrow with his bandages off his face. Until then, I am Bill Whittle. We will see you here tomorrow right here on NRATV.